everyone, we are Books Are My Fandom, codenamed BAMF, and we are international book obsessed beasties. We love young adult, fantasy, sci-fi, contemporaries, and so on. And today's video is all about Beast by Brie Spangler. I am Dani, and usually I'm in the UK, but today I am in South Africa. And yeah, the book, I rated it 3.5 stars.
Hi, I'm Jamie and I'm from Canada. I'm usually in a different city, but I'm in another one. I'm still in the same province though, so.
Aww.
But I also rated the book 3.5 stars. I think we rated it the same, but had different things we liked and disliked. So
like opposite things, which was
really... We'll get to that though. So this video is the 12th in our series of BAMF reviews that we buddy read once a month and then discuss. Today's discussion of the YA contemporary novel Beast by Brie Spangler is part of the 12 Days of Diversity Readathon as hosted by Julia Ember, who is the author of Unicorn Tracks. And I reviewed that on Books Are My Fandom and convinced Dani to read it, and she also liked it. So look at us go. The summary for Beast reads, tall, meaty, muscle-bound, and hairier than most throw rugs, Dylan doesn't look like your average 15-year-old. So naturally, high school has not been kind to him. To make matters worse, on the day his high school band's hat, his preferred camouflage, Dylan goes up on the roof only to fall and wake up in the hospital with a broken leg and a mandate to attend group therapy for self-harmers. Dylan vows to say nothing and zones out at therapy until he meets Jamie. She's funny, smart, and so stunning. Even his womanizing best friend JP would be jealous. She's also the first person to ever call Dylan out on his self-pitying and superficiality. As Jamie's humanity and wisdom, I don't have that, begin to rub off on Dylan, they become more than just friends. But there is something Dylan doesn't know about Jamie. Something she shared with the group the day he wasn't listening. Something that shouldn't change a thing. She is who she's always been, an amazing photographer, no, and devoted friend, yes, who also happens to be transgender, no. But will Dylan see it that way? Short answer, not really.
No. Okay, so in today's video, we are going to talk about what we liked and what we disliked about the book, and we're going to try not to spoil it for you. So yeah, Jamie, tell me, what did you like about the book?
So one of our opposite things is that I actually really liked, I semi-liked the retelling aspect of Beast because it was a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I thought that Spangler did a good job of working in some of the elements of the original story and twisting it to fit into contemporary times. I enjoyed that it was more of Dylan's personality and his life that made him a beast rather than a curse or anything like that. And I liked how it wasn't so much about teaching him like manners and mannerisms. It was more about teaching him to see the world in a more positive and nice way, if you understand what I mean. But there were some aspects of it that, you know, if you didn't know that this was a Beauty and the Beast retelling, you wouldn't have guessed, because the only things that were really there was that he was called Beast and she was just really hot. Yeah, like that was pretty much it, unless you knew. But I thought, like, because I knew, and because I have read like the story and seen the Disney movie and stuff, I could pick up on some of the more subtle aspects. So, but probably like, okay, we'll talk about our favorite ones after, but go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, even though I like Beauty and the Beast, and I was like, I kind of thought or knew that this was supposed to be a Beauty and the Beast retelling, I didn't pick up on any of the things you've just said. I didn't see any of that in the book. I saw, like, the only thing that was Beauty and the Beast for me was Beast and Beauty. That's it.
I think it probably depends on like what you're looking for in the book or what you take away from the book, because I think we took away different things from the book than like opposite things from the book.
Yeah.
It's based on like what I wrote and what you wrote, because we have like a Google Doc of our review. I just think that we saw different things within the book, which happens sometimes, right? Not everybody reads the book the same
Yeah.
the same way.
This sometimes happens with us, where either one of us will really love the book, one of us will really hate it, or this has happened a few times where we've kind of liked the same book, but for completely different reasons.
Yeah.
So.
There was a couple earlier in the year that we liked for different reasons, and there's some we hated for the same reasons. So those are always fun too. But I also really liked the therapy scene, the only therapy scene we see, even though he's supposed to go to therapy like once a week or something like that. And Jamie goes to therapy like 3 times a week, apparently. But in it, the characters talked about their body issues and how they all feel uncomfortable with their bodies. And Dylan is the only male in the room of a bunch of teen female girls. And they talk about how everybody's really uncomfortable with their body. There's this one younger girl that's looks older, and Dylan talks about how he basically just wants to have sex with her, and then he feels really uncomfortable because she's so much younger than him. But she says something along the lines of, "It's not my fault that I was born looking like this." And I think it just really resonated with me, how everybody was just really uncomfortable with themselves, because I think that's something every teenager experiences. Nobody feels extremely comfortable with themselves. And even into adulthood, like, not like there's days that everybody feels really bad about themselves. So I think it just really, I don't know, like we're laughing because we definitely do that. And like, it's not something to take lightly, but if you don't laugh, then you just cry. So anyway.
Yes. Oh, I love you, Jamie.
I love you too. Also, the other thing that I really liked was that Jamie being transgender, even though it was in the summary, didn't feel like a reveal within the book. There was clues along the way if you knew what to look for. Like she takes pictures of syringes, and she talks about how she feels uncomfortable around people, and how just things like that. Like there were little clues along the way. Well, clues, like it says it in the summary. It's not a secret, but
he doesn't pick up on it.
But he doesn't pick up on it, and he didn't hear her say it in the only therapy session he went to. Oh, sorry, spoiler. Late on that one, but I thought personally that it was handled pretty well, how it was said to Dylan when he did find out, but after that it turned pretty bad. So there's 2 reviews on Goodreads that talk about the transgender representation, and I'll link them up in our written review so that you can read them, because one of them says that it was good representation, one of them says that it was bad representation, and they're both by transgender people. So I think it's important to read those rather than listening to me and or Dani, since we're both not transgender, and we don't know because we don't experience that. So I'll link those up. So yeah, that's it for what I liked. It was also I also listened to the audiobook, and the narration was really good. I really liked the voice of Dylan, even though I didn't like Dylan, but we'll get to that later. Okay, Dani, you go.
Okay, so first thing I liked, number one thing that really like got to me right from the start was the whole being horrible together thing. Like Jamie and Dylan, they completely hit it off. Well, no, actually, no, that's a lie. That is a lie. But when they started to become friends, there was this like dynamic that I really liked. And then they were like both admitting that they were horrible people or something, and I was just like, Jamie, Dani, Dylan, you know.
I think you snapped me some of those lines and underlined them, and you're like, us. And I was like, yeah, pretty much.
And I also like there was the one line where I was like,
I'm so into you, Jamie.
Yeah, I'm so into you, Jamie.
I feel like more people should say that to me, just as an FYI.
I'm so into you, Jamie.
I know.
Like any guy I end up with, they're just gonna have to like deal with being in second place. Actually, third place. It's like you and my brother, and then whoever.
Oh, I was like, you, then me, then them, but no, me first. That's fine. I'm cool with that. We're so off topic, but I was so excited that there was a female Jamie. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I really liked that. I really liked how I think you're going to talk about how you don't like Dylan, but in some ways I didn't like it. Like I wouldn't be his friend, but at the same time, I really appreciated how messed up he was as a character. Like messed up in his head, like kind of an anti-hero thing going on there, kind of. And like the whole, he did not handle things well. Like he didn't. I almost like lost it, but at the same time, that felt true to his character. Like I was saying the whole time I was reading about how much he liked Jamie and stuff, and then he finds out. I'm like, as I'm reading, I'm like, he is going to like. I just know that the way he thinks, based on the way he thinks, he is not going to react well when he figures things out. And he didn't, and I was mad at him. But at the same time, I was like, I get it, and I guess I think that, that's how lots of people would react, sadly. I feel like that was quite realistic. Like even if he, like, it's really sad to say this. And okay, like Jamie said, I'm not an expert. I'm not trans. I cannot speak from experience, but I just feel from like what I've read and stuff that I guess there are 3 ways you could react. And that is just straight up acceptance, like whatever, man. Actually 4 ways. There could be like, oh my god, you're trans. And like fetishize it. Is that the word? Yes, fetishize it. Second would be to like just be like whatever. Third way would be like to be really weird about it, like trying to be cool but being really weird about it, like accidentally saying things and being like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, or asking like inappropriate questions, I guess. And then there was the bad way, which was like, ew. Like that is like the toned down version. But
guess which way every character in this book reacted, though? Every single one. That's a rhetorical question because they can't actually guess because we're not talking to other people. We're just talking to ourselves.
I know, but I actually think that there were 2 ways. Like either like Dylan was like, other people were like asking weird questions and stuff. So I don't know. I feel like
none of them were cool with it, though. None of them were really cool with it. None of them were even fake cool with it. And then asking odd questions. They were like, maybe to the person's face, they were cool with it, but not to the rest of the characters. And that was, okay, anyway, sorry. We're talking about things we liked. But
yeah. Well, I'm just saying, I appreciated how at least Dylan's reaction was true to him as a character. It was exactly how, if he was a real person, based on what I'd learned about him up until that point, it was exactly how I would have expected him to react. So, because he was so like obsessed with how other people saw him and his own body and stuff. So, yeah. But then I also I liked how that slowly, without it being very like how he changed over time, wasn't like, it didn't seem like he was going, oh, I'm okay now or something. It was this gradual change in him over time. So, and it wasn't always conscious, I guess. So that I like that. So I like that. I didn't like him as a person, but I personally think that his character was done well. And Jamie's gonna be like, no. Okay. The what I also liked about, and again, not trans, don't know this personally, but I personally liked how it took like the stereotypical things that people say, like it, or about trans people, and like instead of it being like, I am trans, for like Jamie, she was like, actually no, I'm just a normal girl. Like I'm just a normal girl. It was taking all those things that people might think, and I will like, hands up, like I'm not like that anymore. But as I was becoming aware of this in the world where I grew up, it just wasn't talked about. I didn't even know that I didn't actually know about transgender as a thing until I came to the UK. And that was when I was 18. So in Asia, it was just not brought up. So yeah. So I went through a learning period. I'm still learning lots, and I like how that learning was brought up in the book. But I don't know if it was accurate. But like you said, you found 2 reviews, one that was a positive rep, one that was a negative rep. And again, I think that's fair enough. I don't think one book is going to be able to embody the experience of every single trans person. It might be positive rep for some people because that's how they've experienced it, but negative rep for other people because it's not how they've experienced things. So I don't think one book can represent everyone that's trans. So
Yeah, there's 2 specifically that I read because I'm friends with them on Goodreads. That's why I read those 2. But I'm sure there's others, and I just haven't had a chance because I wanted to get my
read
review
other
done.
things.
Yeah, but I think because it was 1 and 1, I was like, okay, well, there's issues and there's good things, so I acknowledge both now. And there's also some like really big allies that have written reviews as well, and I read those, and they talk about how they're not quite sure about the actual representation, but there were still some other aspects that were good or bad, sort of thing. So if you just go on Goodreads and filter, you can find different reviews from different people. Because even though, like, you know, if you identify within the community, you still don't know everything from every perspective, right? So
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So 2 small points. One was, yes, I also liked how everyone had their own issues. Like, even if you're by society standards pretty or not pretty or whatever, everyone has hang-ups. And male, female, guys, girls, whatever, everyone has their own issues. And I feel like I liked how that was talked about. I mean, I have issues. And then finally, Dylan's mom was so momish. She was so over the top with some stuff, and she was doing that whole, like, she was using like tech speak and stuff like that, and I'm like, that's my mom. Also, like, kind of overbearing at times, constantly going, love you lots, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, cool, mom.
to be fair though, her son fell off a roof and they thought he did it on purpose. I think anybody's mom would be a little overbearing at that point.
but I think she's always been like that from.
She was, but I think like we only saw afterwards, and I feel like everybody's mom would be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so I really liked how she actually seemed to, like, you get books where the mom doesn't, or the parents just let the kids do whatever, and like in this book she's like, I'm going to be outside, I'm going to be watching you, blah 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 blah,
and
I'm
even like
follow you around.
Even Jamie's parents were pretty active-ish, considering we saw it from Dylan's point of view. They were there and they had their own opinions on things, so it was nice to see parents being parents, sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay, Jamie, unleash your feelings.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with Dylan's mom, since we finished on her. Wow, that sounded bad. But I actually didn't like Dylan's mom. I did think that it was realistic that she was like overbearing and stuff, but she was very transphobic, and that's horrible. Actually, most of my issues are the fact that this book was very transphobic. And while it's realistic for our society, it's not something that you'd necessarily want to see within fiction, because it just reinforces the same stereotypes over and over again, especially since it's okay. So it's one thing to say, oh man, trans people are horrible, as long as you unpack why the character sort of thinks that. And I think it was done okay with Dylan, but it wasn't really done with his mom or JP or Jamie's mom in the same way, because we saw it through Dylan's point of view. And even Dylan's wasn't unpacked in a way that I was okay with. I felt like it was more about the transphobia than anything else, and I was not okay with that. About
Dylan's mom, I completely understood why she, well, I say that because I've heard it so many times where people are like, oh, I don't, or like when people say, oh, I don't want my kids to be gay because I don't want them to have a hard life or whatever.
But that's about your kids. It's not about somebody else. And she was like, this girl has so much baggage, you shouldn't be with her. And this girl has so many issues and is so effed up, and you just shouldn't be with her.
It's about her kid, though. And she doesn't want her kid dealing with stuff, I guess.
But she was still very not nice about it.
Yeah, and I know that.
It's just not okay. And I don't think it was unpacked enough to say this is okay. And like, I agree that Dylan's initial, like, very first reaction when he found out was fine. It's just that it did take him basically the rest of the novel to become okay with it. And even at the end, he wasn't fully okay with it. He still had his hang-ups and issues, and I just don't think that he actually really grew as a character. And I think that's why, like, it's fine to be an unlikable character so long as your motivations and instincts and blah 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 are okay, but he kept making the same stupid decisions over and over again, and saying the same horrible things over and over again. And it was more like he apologized. Oh, sorry, spoiler, he apologizes, but it's more like he apologized so that he could feel better about himself rather than actually meaning the apology. It was like, it didn't feel genuine to me.
Yeah. I feel
and
like
JP was just an asshole. I hated JP.
Oh God, I hated JP.
And I mean, Dylan was just like literally a bully. He beat people up
because JP told them to.
Yeah, like, that's not okay. Don't do that.
See, I think this, like, what I'm seeing here is like, you want things to show a better world, and I'm like, this shows the real world.
No, it's fine to show the real world as long as you explain it enough, and it was not explained enough.
Okay.
Like, it's fine to say this person is bad or whatever because they're gay or whatnot, as long as you explain why that character thinks that. And I don't think it was explained enough for me to be like, okay, at least it's not just reinforcing the stereotype. We understand that because of like a religious background or where they grew up or what they've been taught, et cetera, this is why they think that, but not everybody should think that or does think that. And I don't think that enough of that happened in this novel for me to say, here you go, friend that is cisgendered and wants to learn about transgender issues. You should read this because it will help you learn something. because it doesn't do that. It just reinforces exactly whatever they've already been thinking.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. So
I get that.
I've heard that If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo, I believe is her last name, does a much better job because it's own voices and talks about trans issues. And while it is more quote unquote preachy, I guess, from some of the reviews I've read, it at least acknowledges and unpacks different things. So if you're looking for a book to share with people who want to learn, I would recommend that one. Although I have not read it, so disclaimer on that. I do own it, but I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay.
What else didn't I like? Oh, I didn't like that Jamie didn't get a point of view. Considering this was about transgender issues, it doesn't make sense to me that the transgendered person did not have a point of view.
You have to get everything from dialogue.
Yeah, and like I thought she was really perfectly flawed in the sense that she even had her own misgivings about life and different people and things. Like Dani said, they were horrible together because they were salt sisters in a sense, like us. So I think having her point of view would have helped unpack some of those things that weren't necessarily unpacked from Dylan's point of view, because we could have at least seen her side of things instead. And that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Just random thing. You know what I like, her whole like acting like a gay guy thing?
Okay.
Do you remember that in the book?
Yeah, I remember that.
I found that like weirdly amusing. But
like,
she had her own. She was going after a stereotype.
But I get that, right? Because when you're still questioning like what to label yourself, because it's so much easier. Like some people are like, "Oh, I hate labels," but having something that you can say, "Oh, wow, this is me," even if afterwards you stop using that label, is so freeing. When you're like, "Oh, wow, there's other people like me." So I get why she did that to start with. So
yeah,
I don't know. Her parents were also horrible. Like her mom was really horrible. But anyway,
she was trying, but not
very well.
Very well.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. What didn't I like? Okay. So I've already mentioned this. I didn't get any like retelling vibes from this at all. Like I actually, as I was reading it, I forgot that it was retelling, and it was only when I went like when I was talking to you about the 12 Days of Diversity readathon, and I was also taking a photo to post on Instagram later of the book, that I was like, oh yeah, 12 Days of Diversity is a retelling readathon, and Beast is supposed to be a retelling. That I was like, and it's a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, I'm guessing. But yeah, didn't feel that at all. And it was only now that you told me what elements were in the book that I was like, okay, I can see it now. I can see it.
I'm just going to interject and say that I've read 12 books for the 12 Days of Diversity, and only like 2 or 3 of them have had really strict retelling aspects to it. The other ones I'm like, well, I guess I kind of see where this could be a retelling, but it's not. Especially the one I read yesterday, it was called Char, and it was a Hansel and Gretel retelling, and I was like, what is this? What is this retelling? I had to read the summary 4 times to figure it out. Anyway, sorry.
Okay. I like it when retellings are retellings, but I think that's because I kind of like, well, I think it fits with my whole not minding spoilers and all that kind of thing. I kind of like to know where the story's going, because I'm weird like that.
I like when there's twists to the retellings, because I don't want to read basically the same story over and over again. But sometimes I just feel like people say this is going to be a retelling just so that it sells.
Yeah, like, oh, this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, because they want to get all the people that are obsessed with Beauty and the Beast to buy the book.
I think that this one is a little bit like that, but there are subtle things. There could have been more.
That you had to tell me about. Otherwise, I would have just been like, nope.
But I am obsessed with Beauty and the Beast. So that's probably why.
Girl, I cannot wait for the movie.
That's going to be a strict retelling. So
I know. So excited. Sorry.
That's okay. I talked about another random book. So
yeah,
at this point, it doesn't matter.
At least I'm talking about Beauty and the Beast, which is kind of related. But anyway, the other thing, pacing.
Oh.
This book, part of the reason I haven't read that much is because I've been quite busy. But the other reason is because I was like, oh, I shouldn't start another book because I have so many reviews to write and I should really finish this book and then write all of those reviews. But I don't really feel like reading this book. I had to read it in like 30-page increments.
Honestly, like because I was listening to it as an audiobook, I think that's the only reason I finished it as quickly as I did.
There were bits that I liked, but it was slow.
I would say that like the first half went by pretty quickly, and once the reveal happened, it was like
yes.
Although it wasn't a reveal. I'm sorry, it's not a reveal because
it's not a reveal, but it's
once he finds out,
waking up.
Yeah.
Him realizing what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah. I was just bored for a lot of it, especially in the middle. And then I remember looking at it at the, like, watching my bookmark go down and going like, oh my God, I'm almost there. And then I did like a sprint of 80 pages. I'm like, yes, I'm done.
I also listened to this at 3 times the speed. I usually listen at 2.6 times the speed. But I was like, I want to get this mofo done. So I feel that really hard.
Yeah. So I think I might actually change my rating to a 3-star because of what we've talked about. And because I've articulated how bored I was.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm chill with my rating. I think it's pretty accurate. I really liked Jamie, and I really liked that there was a female Jamie because most times when there's Jamies in a book, they're men.
So you're giving it a bonus half-star just because there's a female Jamie?
That is my bonus half-star. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. So otherwise, you would have given it if she wasn't called Jamie, you'd give it 3 stars.
Yeah, because I've maybe listened to the line that was like, "I'm so into you, Jamie," a couple times. I was like, "Yeah, you are." Oh. Also, I think you got to that part before me, and I started before you. That's how much, like, I did not like the pacing of this book. So
that's saying something for us, because, like, we finish books quite quickly. Yeah. Like, I think it usually takes me, at most 3 days to finish a book, and that's when I'm really busy.
3 hours to finish a book.
But this is, like, on average for any book, because I tend to read a couple books at a time and I'm busy and stuff. Like, if I can sit down and just read, I'll finish it in the day. But this one, I was like, I do not want to read.
I think it took me 3 days too, and the audiobook was 8.5 hours. Like, it should not have taken me that long.
Yes, that should have been like at 3 times the speed. You should have been done in like 2.5 hours.
Like, I remember for our review of The Great Hunt, I got the audiobook and it was like 11.5 hours, and I finished it in the afternoon on the day that it released. So this should have taken me but it did not.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to change my rating to 3 stars. I'm sorry, book, but there were things I liked, but you were boring.
Well,
yes. Yeah.
That's a wrap. Because I don't think there's anything else that we didn't like. I could talk about how much I didn't like Dylan some more if you'd like, but I think I think
we're cool.
Yeah. So, well, thank you for tuning into our video chat video thing for Beast by Brie Spangler. I have it like written out as a sentence, and I read video chat, and then I went back to the doc and I read video chat again, and I was like, crap, I just read the same thing twice. So,
Oops. Okay, and for our next BAMF chat, our first one of 2017. Oh my God! It's almost 2017. Thank God, 2016 can F right off.
Put it in the suck it bucket.
I love that. I'm going to now use that. Okay, so we are going to be reading Under Rose-Tainted Skies by Louise Gornell. Once again, I do not know how to pronounce names. This is normal for me. And I'm really excited about this one because she is really, really, she talks a lot about mental health issues. It's brought up in the book. So I really want to see the rep.
They already know this because they read our spotlight about it.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, you have.
And if you didn't, it's on our blog.
So go read it.
Yeah. Actually, on that post, it talks about the book, why we're excited for it, why we chose it, and there's an interview with the author. So I'm just saying. Are you? What do you? Okay. Dani is blowing.
On my screen.
So
there's an insect on my screen. Get off. Okay. Anyway, guys, that is it from us. It was an okay book. Hopefully the next one will be better, and we will see you next year.
Yeah.